Greetings, YMCA fans. This is Teresa Peasley, and I'm the Wellness Center Director at the YMCA. And I am here with you again for our Wellness Challenge. This is part 2 to our physical activity segment. And so a quick recap on that is last week we talked about finding a form of physical activity that you genuinely enjoy, which meant you had to explore maybe a couple of different modalities in order to find that thing. But once you find something that you enjoy, you are more likely to engage in it on a habitual basis. And the benefits to physical activity are the greatest when we engage in something on a habitual basis. That's why finding something you like is a neuro hack, if you will. It keeps you going on that path. It also means you're going to be more likely to achieve your health and fitness goals. So that's another sort of tip for you. Today, what I want to talk to you about is a term that is highly associated with physical activity and then gives you some tips along with it. The term is called Neuro-associative Conditioning, NAC for short. It's a human behavioral science term, and it goes something like this. Have you ever had an experience that was so profound that a sound, a smell, or a sight could bring you back to that experience fully? I know that I have. Sometimes when I hear a particular song, especially a song from my wedding, I go right back to where I was when I got married. Or another experience is whenever I smell the flower of a lilac, I think of my childhood home, and I think of my mom as she was cutting those flowers so that she could put them into a vase. Those are all associative kind of examples of how things are all tied together. So the lilacs and the smell and my mom and my childhood home. It can also go for the negative. So if you've ever been in an accident, and you probably know where I'm going with this, is that there are some people after they get into a car accident, they have a really hard time getting back in a car, going down the same road where they had that accident, or maybe it's making a right-hand turn, and that's how they got into the accident in the first place. Your brain takes these experiences and it says, oh, I liked that. I want to do that again. And it was lovely. And your brain will also take experiences and go, last time we did this, it didn't go so well. So let's not do that. Now, how does this relate to physical activity? Well, if any of you are having trouble with trying to exercise at home, that would be completely normal. And that's because the home is not really associated typically with physical activity. Think about it. When you go home, you're probably thinking about the meal that you need to prepare, any chores you have to get done, projects that you're doing, relaxing, playing with your kids. There's lots of things that the home are associated with, and they're not necessarily physical activity. I know when I'm trying to do some push-ups on the floor, and if I happen to see like dog hair on the carpet, I immediately stop and I'm like, I gotta vacuum this. That's happened multiple times since I've been home. So it's totally normal for you to have that association and to be struggling with it. Now there's a couple of tips to help you to exercise at home a little bit easier and to make this more successful for you. So number 1 was part 1 of this series, which is find something that you enjoy. That's the first thing. The second thing is you want to find a room in your home that you can designate that space to your activity. So maybe it's a particular room, or it's an environment that you create that has maybe your dumbbells in the corner, or a picture, like a motivational picture of a quote or something that you want to do in the near future when things open back up again. Maybe it's a trip. And that will help keep you motivated by seeing the same things over and over and being in the same environment over and over as you create those associations. The second thing is you want to make sure that you put on some exercise clothes and shoes. Now that may seem like a complete no-brainer, like, of course, Teresa, I'm going to put on my exercise clothes. But as someone that has been trying to exercise in my pajamas, because I'm spending a lot of time in my pajamas, I now know from firsthand experience, it doesn't work very well. So when you put on your exercise clothes and your shoes, that's an association with exercise, and then you are more likely to engage in it if you take that step. So those are the tips for the day. Again, finding something you enjoy if you haven't already. Create a designated space in your home, or maybe it's in your backyard or in your garage, that you can designate towards your physical activity and engage in that in habitual pattern, because over and over and again, that's going to be reinforced in your brain. And then lastly, make sure you put on your exercise clothes and shoes. That'll help as well. I'll be back next week for another tip. Thanks, guys.